you! I'm an atheist! The most terrifying thing ever! This is my Halloween costume this year. You guys like it? Mean, scary atheists with no morals. How could you be a good person without the Bible, without some kind of moral compass to point you in the direction of good? I'm really, really sick of hearing things like this. And normally I can like brush it off and ignore it. There's a lot of, misconceptions out there about atheism or like what the type of person would be like who is an atheist. A lot of negativity surrounding the word atheist, and this is something that I feel like I've been fighting for years on my YouTube channel with very little success. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say very little success. I feel like I have shown some people that you can be somewhat of like a normal, nice, regular human being and be an atheist. Like, you don't need Jesus to be a good person. Sometimes I get kind of complacent with that too, because I kind of surround myself in this bubble on the internet full of people who are fellow skeptics, and I forget that a lot of the United States is still kind of grounded in this conservative religious viewpoint where they genuinely think that if you don't have Jesus, you can't be a good person. Now, to get on an even more depressing note, you guys know about the mass shooting that just happened in Vegas. I refrained from making a video on that because I felt like there wasn't really anything I could personally add. But I find myself sitting here now feeling the need to bring it up briefly to put this larger conversation into context. I saw something on, of course, Fox News that I was really hurt by. And I feel like it's representative of a larger problem. So I'm just gonna bring it up. There is this woman, Laura Ingraham, and she claimed that secular humanism and progressivism supplanted virtue, and that maybe if atheists didn't get rid of all the religion that's out there, this might not have happened. She said a lot of things. She said a lot of things that were really offensive. So I'm just gonna play all the clips together and we'll address one thing at a time. Just take it one thing at a time.
People want to believe there's some explanation for this, and that is also the natural human impulse. But it could be as simple as this man flipped, something inside of him flipped.
So all these people are sitting around discussing what the killer's motive was. Why would he try to go out and kill all these people? And initially she says, people try to search for an answer. There might not be one. Something in him might have just snapped, and then it caused him to do this. That should have been the end of the conversation, but it wasn't.
But we can't figure out how to stop it until we find out why he did it.
Well, and there are some things, again, it's not a satisfying response. There are some things you cannot stop. I mean, we say, well, is there a government solution to every human problem? I would say no.
No, there's not a government solution to every human problem, but sometimes there is. And to just kind of like write that off and be like, well, we have mass shootings sometimes. Can't really involve the government in fixing that problem though. There's just some things they can't do. Am I the only one that sees some error in that? I saw a post the other day on a page titled, "I Love America." And it said, the problem is not guns, it's hearts without God, homes without discipline, schools without prayer, and courts without justice. And like, as stupid as that post is, you look at something like that and you like roll your eyes and you face palm pretty hardcore. It's actually something that maybe we shouldn't look at as so stupid, because it's unfortunately an idea that still a significant portion of the United States holds, which makes it less funny and way more terrifying to me. If you need proof that people still think this way, enter Laura Ingraham.
Remember that we've done a lot to kick Christianity, God, to the curb in our society.
Have we? Have we? It seems like anytime we talk about the standard separation of church and state, a lot of conservative people don't actually understand what it means to have a separation of church and state. So if you have like a public school that's funded by the government, which is a very public thing, that is the state, okay? So saying that schools need to have religion is mixing church and state. So complaining that there isn't religion in public schools is asking to merge church and state. Do you understand how that's wrong? No, they clearly don't.
We can talk a lot about climate change and all these wonderful things in school, but we can't say a simple prayer or even have a moment of silence in a lot of schools today.
Okay, first of all, I wouldn't describe climate change as, a wonderful thing. I do not understand where the confusion is. On one hand, we have an environmental problem that could lead to disaster for everyone. And on the other hand, we have mythology. As an atheist, if I have kids one day, I certainly do not want to send them to a public school for them to come home with an indoctrinated mind. If you want your kids to learn about Jesus in school, send them to a private school where that's taught.
You mentioned religion. We all have our cross to bear, right? We all are sinners, and
Yeah,
we fall
all of us.
short. This guy, his brother said, did not have religion in his life. You wear your cross. I heard you last night say you went to St. Patrick's to pray. There were a lot of people there lighting candles and praying.
You went to church and you're wearing a cross, so you're a good person. Whereas this man who killed all of these people did not have Jesus. He's a bad person. You see, religion, good person. No religion, mass murderer. Later in this segment, they try to say that they're not intending to apply a blanket statement of immorality to atheists and that not all atheists are these crazy mass murderers. But I'm sorry, how else do you interpret what they just said? They're very clearly trying to say good people go to church and pray and wear crosses, and people who don't have God kill people. That is the message they are trying to send.
And then I heard you say, Big and Rich, when they sang on stage, God Bless America, an hour before some of them were killed to go meet God, that you said that was such a gift to their families. And I agree with you.
Killed to go meet God. I don't think they were killed to go meet God. Am I crazy, or is that not a pretty terrible thing to say? They are so politicizing this event to talk about God, to push their agenda of religion onto everyone else. Now, you expect whenever something like this happens, whenever there's a tragedy with guns, you know, people immediately, like the day after or the day of, start posting videos and articles and talk on the news about gun control, and that's the thing that they try to push. And everyone gets so pissed off about it, right? Oh, I can't believe you would bring up a political agenda during this time of grieving. Well, I'm sorry, isn't this the same thing, if not worse?
And without a moral center in our lives, and again, we're all sinners, we all fall. Without that moral center, what do you compare your behavior to?
I don't know.
I don't know, you use common fucking sense. You don't need the Bible to give you any indication of what's good versus bad. Actually, it's probably better that people don't use the Bible to tell them what's good and bad, because it says a lot of really bad shit in there. I'm pretty sure no one opens the Bible and sees the part where you're supposed to stone gay people and says, yes, that's what we need to do. People write it off and they're like, oh, you know, that's not something we need to pay mind to. But think about what you just said. With what sense of morality do you look through the Bible and pick out what's good to listen to and throw out what's bad? The morality that people have is a direct reflection of the time that we live in the society that we were raised. All people do is sit around and cherry pick the parts out of the Bible that go along with what they already believe that has been set forth as a standard by society in modern day, and they're like, see, Bible lines up with it. And to say what this woman just said is to imply that people who do not have religion do not have morals. She can't fathom a way to have morals without religion. Therefore, she can't fathom people who do not have religion to have morals. This is a really dangerous mindset, and that's why religion seems to be so integral to politics. That's why politicians have to sit there and talk about how they love God, because they feel like people won't respect them or think that they're capable of doing good for society without it.
I see a lot of people that don't go to church and never crack the Bible who are some of the best people, and they don't seem to yearn for anything.
Thank you, dude. I don't know who you are.
I know what you're saying about going for religion, and that's great, but there's a lot of people out there watching that aren't very religious. You know, they say then
how's that worked out for us as a country?
Bitch. Yeah, well, how's that worked out for you? This guy is sitting there trying to knock some kind of sense into her by saying, listen, I know a lot of people who aren't religious and they're very moral people. They're great people. Yeah, well, where's that get you?
And all I would say is, how has it worked out for us, a country where secular humanism and progressivism has supplanted the understanding that without virtue, there is no real freedom?
I'm sorry, how has secular humanism done that exactly? Straight from Fox News, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it there. If you're a secular humanist, you have no virtue.
Right.
Freedom without virtue is chaos.
But there's a lot of people that don't go to church. They don't
Brian,
open up fire.
Obviously. People seize on that comment and say, oh, they're saying that people aren't religious. And that's not what we're saying.
Yes, it is. That is the message that has been sent several times throughout this segment on Fox News. And then she brushes it off. Yeah. Okay, well, people are going to complain that I said that. But that's like, of course I'm not saying that. But even though I said it a million fucking times, that's not what I'm trying to say. But it is. But like, I'm going to try to save face and act like it's not what I'm trying to say because I know it looks bad on paper. So I'm trying to cover my ass here, even though I do do think people who aren't religious are, you know, these horrible people without morals. I'm just going to try to like cover that up and say, of course, I don't think that, but like I totally do.
In the absence of a moral and virtue center, lots of bad things can happen. Not always, but sometimes.
The problem I have with this is not her saying that people who lack virtue do bad things. The problem is her equating religion with that virtue.
Wow, she looks really annoyed right there. Like really annoyed. Sorry, Laura, if it was difficult for you to say that out loud, that, you know, not always does something like that happen, but sometimes it does. In the absence of morality, bad things happen because religious people never do bad things, because religious people always have morals. And, you know, this guy didn't have God, and look what happened. Look where that got us. I'm sorry. This was just really hard for me to watch. I watched this clip and, like, my jaw was dropped in disbelief the whole time because I could not believe that someone could think that way. Like, I get it that there are misconceptions about atheists and atheism, but to sit there on a platform in front of, you know, all of these cameras, knowing that so many people are going to see you saying these things and act like it's virtuous of you to say that if someone doesn't have religion, things like this happen. Look where it's gotten us as a society, that we don't have religion in school. I'm tired of people feeling afraid to admit publicly that they're not religious. I'm tired of politicians feeling the need to include religion when they might not even really be religious because they're afraid of what might happen if they don't. They're afraid of how people will look at them if they don't sit there and say, you know, thank God for this, or God bless the USA, or, you know, thank you Jesus, or I love Jesus, or whatever the fuck it is that people feel the need to say to appeal to the masses. It's bullshit, and things like this just continue to perpetuate that fear. So yeah, you know what, to bring it back to the beginning of the video, I think I am gonna be the scariest thing for Halloween, an atheist, because, you know, what could be more terrifying than someone like me? All right, I'm gonna go. If you want to check out this shirt, I'll have a link in the description. All of my other social media links are in the description. But I'm gonna go have a glass of wine, because I'm all fired up now. And who knows, maybe if I get bored later, I'll just, like, go rob a bank. Atheism.